Hey guys, it's Julie. Welcome to this week's episode of Calm Belly TV. So let's see, let's get this angle right. So you can see the enormous bun on top of my head. It's been growing steadily throughout the day because it's a really windy day here, and I just walked Frank, and so the thing has doubled in size since this morning. So I'm just gonna roll with it. Okay, so welcome. If you're here joining me live, feel free to type in your questions or comments anytime while we are chatting. This is totally informal, and I am going to be answering some frequently asked questions today. So when I posted the reminder about today's Calm Belly TV in the Facebook group today, I asked you guys to submit anything you've been wondering about that you want me to answer, and a lot of the questions that you guys posted are definitely things I get asked frequently, so good job. That's perfect. And I had a few lined up already that I've been getting via email and things like that I can talk about if we run out of fascinating frequently asked question topics, which I don't think we will. And if you have more and you're watching live, feel free to put them in the chat anytime and we will jump in. So I'm gonna pull up the post where you guys were putting your questions, and I am just going to start with the first one. So, who was it? Nicole asked what can you drink at Starbucks if you want a milky coffee or frappuccino type drink? And I found out something absolutely fascinating because I Googled it. Because when I go to Starbucks, I am all about the jet fuel dark roast black coffee. That's what I drink. That's what I've always liked to drink. I don't like milk in my coffee. So I don't know about any of the frappuccinos or I don't even know what all the things are called that you can get at Starbucks. But I do know the basics and I know what they have. So here's the thing. They have coconut milk. But what I learned on the internet today is that they just announced that they're going to start featuring almond milk in all their stores as of September 6th. So right after Labor Day, if you're in the US, you'll be able to get almond milk at Starbucks. And they didn't have the ingredients listed in their almond milk, but it sounds fine, and you should be able to get it in any of those milky, frothy beverages that you desire. Of course, they're going to charge you an extra 60 cents like they do for the coconut milk, which really sucks, I have to say. It really sucks, but at least you have the option. Let's see. So an interesting thing with whipped cream, though. Whipped cream, if you look on the Monash app, in small amounts, that's Frank shaking over there, my dog. But in small amounts, whipped cream is low enough in lactose to fall into the low FODMAP threshold. So check out your Monash app and have a look at that. So if you really love that whipped cream, the full fat cream, you can get a little dollop of that on your drink and it should be fine. The coconut milk at Starbucks is a little controversial. So I've read, and I don't know if they've changed it, but when they first debuted it, there were a lot of articles about how it's not just coconut and water, it's got other ingredients and gums and carrageenan, which is a gut irritant. It's not a FODMAP. So if you have the coconut milk, it's probably going to be fine, but it's not the greatest, it's not the most natural ingredient in the world. So that's the thing at Starbucks. Oh, the other thing I wanted to mention, with frappuccinos, I understand that they use a base to make the frappuccino, which has cream in it or some kind of dairy product in it, and it might not be a totally natural cream, so you do have to watch out for that one. I think the simpler you can stay at Starbucks, the better, and look out for that almond milk that they're supposed to have starting September 6th. Okay, so I hope that answers your question, Nicole. And yeah, it doesn't have to be a profound question, that's okay, I liked it anyway. Okay, so Sarah asked a lot about the reintroduction process, and she wanted to know how many things you have to test in the oligo group when you are reintroducing FODMAPs into your diet. So you've done the elimination phase, and now you test FODMAPs group by group to see which ones really trigger your symptoms. And with that oligosaccharide group, there are subcategories. So you actually do 5 tests. You test onion and garlic, because even though they're both in the sort of vegetable category, for some reason, the best practice, the recommendation from Monash is that they're kind of different animals and they're not really comparable. Like a clove of garlic, how does that compare to a serving of onion? That information is not available and not clear. So you are supposed to test them both since they're so common. And With my clients, most of them find that they don't react the same to onion and garlic. Maybe they can tolerate some onion and very little garlic, or vice versa, or it's always a surprise, it seems, to everyone. So definitely test both of those. You should test beans, so legumes. You should test fruit. Now, the recommended test food for fruit is dates, because dates only contain fructans and no other FODMAPs. You should test them. There are other fruits that are high in fructans, so it's just good to get more data. And that's such a big group that covers so many different types of oligosaccharides. Just the more you kind of learn about how your body reacts to those FODMAP groups, the better you have. It's about getting more information and, trying to come into the light here, and learning as much as you can about how your body tolerates this stuff. Okay, so let's see. And yeah, the same goes for polyols. You should test both mannitol and sorbitol. I have clients who can tolerate one really well, but not so much the other one. So definitely test two polyol groups. Okay, what else? I have to look for the questions. Okay, so Sarah had a ton of really good, quick questions, and I'm going to try to go through those. Let me think. Okay, so when you do the reintroduction process and something goes okay for you, can you put it back into your diet while you continue to reintroduce other FODMAPs? So the answer to that is no. You do go back to that low FODMAP diet. So let's say the first thing you test is honey, and it goes fine. You can eat a tablespoon of honey with no symptoms. But you're still going to want to keep honey and the other fructose foods out of your diet, because you don't want to increase the FODMAP load overall that you're consuming while you're testing other FODMAPs. It can just cloud the results. This is all about gathering data and learning about how your body reacts to these foods. So the more things that are getting in the way or confusing the data that you're collecting, the less clear and the less powerful, the less you can learn from that testing process. Okay, so what else? It's so hard to read the little text. Hold on a second. Okay, edamame and broccolini, they are not on the Monash app. Edamame actually is. It's a new addition, and they say that frozen edamame in the shell, like the full bean, is low FODMAP at a certain quantity. And you know, they tested it. They tested a certain type of frozen edamame. I personally find that eating edamame makes my stomach feel terrible. And you can try it. Try it out and see what you think. Does that mean you can eat it at a sushi restaurant? Was it frozen? It might have been, or it's usually fresh. You don't know. And when Monash tests, they can't test every product, every brand, every type of edamame in the world. So their data might not be the same for the edamame that you order at your sushi restaurant. But you just have to try it and see. So that's edamame. Broccolini is kind of you've just got to put that into the category with broccoli. And yeah, it might not be exactly the same, but a small amount of it should be lowish in FODMAPs, even though sometimes those cruciferous vegetables are hard to digest for some people for other reasons besides FODMAP. They can just be kind of gassy and hard to digest. So try it out. Totally try it out. Use the quantities for broccoli and just see how you do. Okay, what else? Cranberries, oregano, and dill. Dried cranberries are low to moderate in a 1 to 2 tablespoon serving. I could not find fresh cranberries, although I swear that I read an article back around Christmas or around Thanksgiving that said they were low FODMAP. I think they are low FODMAP, but I forgot to Google that for you. So you might find some info if you do a quick Google. I think fresh cranberries are low FODMAP. Dried ones definitely are in small servings. Okay, all the herbs are. Dried, fresh, dill, oregano, go wild on herbs. What else? Tea. Okay, I've gotten this question a few times from different people. Can you drink herbal tea? Because people know that chamomile tea is a red flag for FODMAPs, but really that's the one to watch out for. But you do have to avoid the herbal teas that contain FODMAP ingredients, like apple tea or peach tea. So peaches are high in FODMAPs, don't drink the tea. That's just the best. It might have a lot less FODMAPs than eating a peach, but that's the best practice. You can drink any kind of herbal tea that doesn't have a FODMAP ingredient in it. Okay, what else? Let's see, I do have a question. Sorry, Mark or Chrissy, I think I was ignoring you for a while, I'm sorry. Should I continue to follow the FODMAP diet while pregnant? Heartburn, indigestion, epigastric pain get worse during pregnancy, but you also need to eat all sorts of food. Yeah, that's a great question, and definitely something I get asked frequently. There's no research on how a low FODMAP diet affects a pregnant woman, but the real practical factor is that pregnancy really does mess up digestion. For everyone, no matter if you've had issues or not. So if you're trying to reintroduce foods or just even do the elimination phase, it may not really benefit you. You might want to avoid really high FODMAP stuff, especially if you feel that it does upset your stomach. Avoid food that you feel upsets your stomach. But especially when it comes to testing FODMAPs, I don't think you're going to get accurate data during pregnancy. I don't think it would hurt anything. That's just an opinion. That is not anyone's, obviously I don't give you guys medical advice, but it shouldn't hurt, but I don't think it's going to be worth being really strict and systematic the way you should be when you do the FODMAP diet. Yeah. You're welcome. Okay, glad I could answer that question. If you guys have any more questions that you're watching live, feel free to ask. And if you're watching the replay, leave a comment and I'll come back and I'll answer your question when I get a notification about your comments. Okay, so I still have more questions here. This is a really good one. Why are things like oranges okay, but not orange juice, and goat's cheese, but not goat's milk? Okay, that's because the concentration of sugars and the way the product is processed. So even though, let's see, so with orange juice, we don't know if Monash tested fresh squeezed orange juice, like I took an orange and I juiced it and that was it, no more, or if they tested a commercially processed orange juice. So that's probably going to be a difference. So what you're hearing here as I talk about all this stuff is that testing FODMAPs and FODMAP content is not a perfect system. It's not a perfect science. They do the best they can, and they do great work, and it gives us a place to start. It gives us a benchmark, a guideline. So if you're at home making your own orange juice from your oranges, you can probably drink that and be okay. Try it out. See how it works for you. If it doesn't leave you feeling so well, then stop. But that's why there's that difference there. With goat's cheese and goat's milk, that's kind of a different thing. With cheese, the way cheese is made, the lactose is virtually removed from the finished cheese product. So goat cheese is low FODMAP. With the milk, the lactose, because of the way it's made, it doesn't have a chance to go anywhere. So I'm not going to go into like the technical, this is how the curds and the whey separate, but it's about that sort of process, and that's why it's different. So that's actually a fantastic question. Okay, so that's all the questions I had on Facebook. Does anyone watching live have a question? I would love to help you out. Someone else has asked me about coffee and tea. So with tea, it's extremely confusing on the Monash app. I don't know why they made it so confusing. Obviously, tea with cow's milk, it's so confusing. So the rule of thumb is that tea is okay, as long as it's not like a FODMAP tea, like apple tea. But it's probably best not to brew it to a very strong strength. So you can do black tea, chai, green tea, matcha, which is almost very similar to green tea. You don't want to leave that tea bag in your cup for 20 minutes, because apparently that's when there are oligosaccharides in those tea leaves, and they can build up to be a little higher in FODMAP. Let's see. With coffee, what was the question I got about coffee? Oh, what can you add to coffee? If you can have almond milk and you can have coffee, can you have them together? Yes, that's totally fine. Any milk or lactose-free beverage that's low FODMAP, you can add it to your coffee or to your tea. What else do you guys need to know? Beverages are confusing. The other thing I was going to talk about was I get asked frequently about soda, okay, or carbonated water, like La Croix waters and stuff like that. So they are not high FODMAP unless they have high fructose corn syrup, which today most mainstream soda brands do not. But, it's always worth checking. So you can drink soda if you've got to have your Diet Coke, it's fine, but the thing to watch out for is the carbonation. And I'm someone who, if I drink a few sips of a carbonated beverage, I feel bloated and gross. Not everyone feels that way, but it's not a FODMAP issue, it's just that the carbonation can kind of just fill up your gut and be an irritant. So look out for that, and if that's starting that, you know, if you kind of have those bubbles in your gut and then maybe you eat a meal that's a little more, that you're more sensitive to, then that combination of things leaves you feeling kind of bloated and gross. So pay attention to how that combines with your other habits and your other meals. Okay, I got another question. Is there a safe amount of half and half that you know of? It's what I usually use to lighten my coffee. Yeah, and you can experiment with this. I have a client who loves half and half in her coffee, and she might be watching this. She tried cream, she tried lactose-free milk, I think I'm getting this right, and it just wasn't cutting it. She likes half and half, and she found the right amount. Like I think if she drinks like 1 tablespoon in 1 cup of coffee, like 1 cup of coffee with half and half, that's fine. If she has more than 1, it's too much. So you should test it out and try and find, you know, the amount you can tolerate. The reason why it's okay, even though half and half obviously does have lactose, it's half milk and half cream, okay? So cream is lower in lactose, it's higher in fat, so more of the product is fat, and that's why it's lower in lactose than milk, which is less fat. Hopefully that makes some amount of sense. So half and half is kind of somewhere between the two, and that small amount you're going to put in your coffee might be something you can definitely tolerate. If you're trying to do the reintroduction process and test other FODMAPs, I would hold off on doing that, but afterwards definitely play around and see what you can tolerate. Okay, Tracy asks, what do you think about drinking water with meals? Oh, you heard it's bad to drink cold water with a meal. I think it's totally fine. I actually hate drinking cold water. I've been that way for years and years. I don't know why. It just kind of like makes my body hurt, and I get really thirsty, and I can't drink that ice cold water. So I go to restaurants and I ask for water with no ice all the time. I think that's just a personal preference. I've heard theories about it. I don't think there's anything that people can prove. If you love a glass of ice water and you feel just awesome and refreshed, drink it, fine. If you start to notice that it does make you feel a little, you know, not so much at ease when you've had a meal that you know is not problematic, then stop the water and see how you feel. But just drinking water in general with meals is fine. One of the cautions about that is you should not gulp your beverage no matter what it is, because when you do that, you sometimes take in too much air and that makes you feel bloated or gassy, but that's not because of water or anything else. It's just getting more air into your system. So some people like to drink, you know, before and after they eat, just so they're not, you know, gulping in that air. And that's sort of another argument for eating very slowly. So there are all these little things that contribute to how your body feels and how your gut is feeling as you're digesting food, and it can have nothing to do with IBS and FODMAPs, but it does go to show that so many things come into play, and so many little tweaks maybe can't make a profound difference, but altogether you can kind of find the habits that really do help you feel good. So I hope that answers your question. Hi, Jennifer. Thanks for stopping by. Okay, Stephanie, what about alcohol wine? If you already covered this, no. And this was one of the ones that I noted down because I get asked a lot. So I guess you want to know just like which ones are okay to drink. Wine is okay. The one to really avoid is the very sweet wines like port, okay, because they're higher in sugar. Stay away from those. But like any kind of dry, normal wine out there in the world is fine. Alcohol in general, any kind of alcohol, is kind of a gut irritant, which just means that it can kind of slow down your digestion, and that's sort of where the whole hangover thing comes from. You know, it just kind of, everything kind of slows down. It's a downer. It messes with your body a little bit, and it also fuels your appetite. So you might eat more than you intended to, and just eating too much volume can slow down and kind of mess with your digestion a little bit. So you can drink, just stick to a moderate amount, 1 to 2 glasses tops. And As for other alcohol, the only thing to watch out for is rum, because there's apparently fructose in there. It's a little high in fructose. It's made from sugar cane. I can't get into the whole technical part of it because I don't really know, but I know it's been tested. Tequila is the one that hasn't been tested that everybody asks about. And yeah, it's made from agave, which is high in fructose. So I don't know about that one. A lot of us drink it with no problem. I think if you're having one shot in a margarita, it's probably not going to be an issue. There's very little sugar in distilled alcohol. It's mostly alcohol. So you can test it out. It's probably fine. Okay, oh, okay. My connection just got bad. I think I'm going to wrap it up. No. I think anecdotally, tequila is okay, but pay attention. Just pay attention to your body because we don't know the exact FODMAP content. All right, so since my connection looks a little spotty, let's wrap it up. Does anyone else have any other questions? I'll hang out for another minute. Let me see if I wrote down anything that I wanted to talk about. I hope that if you guys join later, go back and watch the beginning of this video. We covered some stuff that really does come up frequently. We covered the fact that Starbucks is going to start offering almond milk as of September 6th, which is interesting and helpful for a lot of us. So that's good news. All right, does anyone else have a question? If you do, you can just leave a comment under the video on Facebook and I will answer your question, all right? So have a great long Labor Day weekend if you're in the US. I love a good long weekend, so have fun and I will talk to you soon. Bye. Oh wait, I got a question. Okay, I'm gonna answer this one. What's better, ripe or greenish bananas? I've read conflicting reports. That's a great question, and it's a frequent question that I get. You guys are bringing the questions, you're awesome. Okay, the green bananas, or an unripe banana, has more, it's not a FODMAP issue, but it can be harder to digest because an unripe banana has a lot of resistant starch, which means it's not a bad thing for your gut, but it is harder to digest if you have a sensitive gut. So I say if you're going to eat bananas, eat a ripe banana. Yeah, it's going to be sweeter. The sugars have developed, and that's okay. Those are not high FODMAP, in a reasonable portion. Don't eat one of those like ginormous bananas. But try it out. Have half a banana, and if you don't notice any problems, you're good to go on bananas. It's different for everybody, but go with the ripe ones, so some brown spots. The green ones, to me, they don't even taste as good, so just go with the ripe ones. Okay, that's a great question. All right, I will talk to you guys later. Have a fabulous weekend. Bye.